improvement or achieving every goal?
Who was standing last night and now is sitting? Is it better sitting down? So you learned from your mistake yesterday. So you don't want to repeat it this morning? Never. 2 grand. Tell me it helped. You want to tell me it helped?
Yes.
It helped?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
My decision yesterday was never again to postpone tomorrow what you can do today.
And you know why? It's because you stood. If I had forgiven you, if I had, just, shifted or whatever, let it go, and you won't feel the same. But that 2 grams of pain, that's what made you to really come to that conclusion. Now, I want you, before we continue, some of you who are saying this now, I want you to tell me something. Did standing yesterday truly help you? For sure. No, just true. No, sincere. Want something?
No.
Anybody want to say something about that?
I was actually telling my pastor yesterday that this year one of my goals was to be able to, read more, because due to the nature of what I do at work, I read a lot. I have to analyze stuff. I don't really have time to read, other books, and it's been the highlight of my goals. And even though I'll start a book, it might take me longer, but I have never been able to do what I did yesterday. And when we came to the meeting, I had not, finished the book, which is normal, for me. I mean, I won't finish it and I'll, postpone it and just never get to it. So it was amazing. I was telling him last night, I said, for the first time, in my life, I can say that I stood, I was kneeling, I was standing, it was hurting, but I did get through the book.
Wow, are you sure?
Yes, I did. I got through the book, and I'm proud of me, because that's a goal that I've been targeting since the beginning of the year, and I've not been able to,
So pain helps.
It did help.
Who else is, speak louder. So that they can.
Yesterday when we were standing, I remember saying mercy. Then you paid no attention to that. Then standing here, I said you are asking for mercy. That's why you're still where you are.
Yeah.
That's why when my pastor said you're going to release them after something, I was the one that said no, he didn't say that. Because I'm standing, I should have jumped for what he said. But something in me said no, go through this. Feel the pain. And I stood here, Pastor Sunday, after we kept on standing and I knew there was no mercy coming. I said, you better read this book. Honestly, I wasn't reading. I was saying, I didn't read when I'm sitting down. It's now that I'm standing. That's my struggle. But when I knew mercy was not coming, that was my shock in what I wrote. My shock was reading 30 pages in less than 1 hour. I was never done that before. Standing in pain, I skimmed through, and that was my shock.
Amen. What happened to me, especially when we was talking about doing the different things, and I went back to my room because I really knew that I'm coming back. And I know what I'm going to do.
And I told you never come back. I told you now just be cursing Pastor Sunday now. Let's curse this guy, let him die. Let him invite us back to this place again.
So like I got out. When I came out, I rushed out, and Frida is in our room, and she's an excellent organizer. She has a great business already. And I ran in there, and she was looking at me. I said, Frida, I'm signing up for your coaching. I said, I'm making myself accountable. I said, I got to get ready for what I'm going to do and what I'm coming back for, as far as the organizing and everything. And she said, well, as soon as we get back, you're coming in. So that's what I did.
The standing also helped me to appreciate this morning, because I had to drag myself out of bed because I knew I had some unaccomplished task which I had to accomplish this morning. Yeah. So I learned a very big lesson. Punishment is good.
Punishment is good.
When we started the assignments,
Louder.
when we started the assignments and we had to write about the book, I kind of set myself that I was going to do it. But when we came in the morning and you said that we can do everything else, but we can just read the book, we don't need to write. So I kind of changed my strategy that I was going to read before I sleep. So I was caught off guard when we came and you asked, have you finished the book? Because I had to put my deadline to read before to finish reading before I go to sleep. So that caught me off guard. So I just decided that I'll stick with the program. Whatever changes here, I'll stick with the program because I know if I set a deadline, then I'm able to meet. But if there's no deadline, then I kind of let it slide. But the standing helped, and I'm like, I'm not changing anything.
Very good.
Well,
Well, you
I
didn't
didn't start, but it was a lesson in leadership for me. I was discussing with Olu and Kate this morning about it. The fact that you didn't show mercy. And you still insisted that people should. Usually I would have showed mercy, but I learned something. That people learn better when we stick to principles than when we relax principles.
For me, it was similar
But you saw my example of the German police.
Yes.
They don't just don't show mercy. They
Yes, for me, it was an example in leadership also because I was thinking, oh, after we stand for a while, you will actually give us mercy. When I realized we were not doing
mercy was not coming.
then I started to really read. Then it got along with what Valina, we asked a question when she came to the workshop that somebody asked her what makes you love Pastor Sunday. And she said, Pastor Sunday is the same in the church or everywhere that he's the same. And I sort of saw that because I was thinking, you should have mercy on. We came all the way, we're here, we're tired and all that. So that was a shock to me.
Yeah, very good, very good. All right.
Yeah, if you had had mercy on me, I wouldn't have read and completed that book. So after the class ended, I had to sit down and complete it. So I realized that I need to read and complete the task of the work. So it gave me the discipline to realize that I should be able to accomplish my task.
Very good.
Yeah, I think it's similar to what it said. Although I didn't start, because I finished in his life. But then, because I didn't want to start today, they actually gave me the opportunity to actually read. So actually, said I'm going to
So compare this.
The standing helped, but my main problem actually, around lunchtime yesterday, I just looked around, I can analyze, and I was very sure most people are not going to finish this book. I was very sure about that. It's very easy to know. So I also had
because of how people were behaving.
how people are behaving. So I really knew that. So maybe the thinking I had was
because life is predictable.
Yeah.
Because if people were so relaxed, life is predictable. They were going to stand.
I just knew it. So I also relaxed because I knew.
So you thought, Pastor,
we had so many.
You don't know Pastor yet?
I went there. I was actually next to Pastor. I was next to me alone, really. So it's really helping me to really evaluate myself.
Don't follow the crowd. The crowd is 97%. But where do you want to be?
3%.
3%. All right. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you for today. We pray that you will speak to us. You will use this as a blessing to your people today. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Now, the message of today's topic is what you've been waiting for all through this conference. We are going to talk about systems. And that's what our people have been talking about. Everywhere you go, you hear system. Is that true?
Yes.
So, but the topic is called the key to resolving every problem or achieving every goal. The ability to build systems is the key really 2, resolving every problem, and 2, achieving every goal. Now, systems are something that are very familiar to all of us. We're all familiar with systems. It says that we live and function in systems. In fact, our whole life is a totality of systems, comprehensive systems in us. God is a systemic God, and everything God does, He does systematically and puts in system. In Genesis chapter 1, we could see how God created the whole world. But Genesis chapter 1 is not just the story of creation. Genesis chapter 1 is a story of the methodology of creation. And it is not just about the strategy of God, but it's about the processes of God. So when you look at Genesis chapter 1, you'll find out that all things that God did and everything He created them in systems. He put them in systems. For example, when God said, "Let there be light," the light did not just appear, but the light appeared to stay. The light appeared in such a way that it was so comprehensive that there is light here, there is light in Latin America, there is light in Africa, there is light in Europe, there is light in America, there is light everywhere. Now, that is not enough. But God would never need to wake up one day and say, "Oi, I forgot to put on the light on the earth." Oh wow, this is morning in Europe, and it is night in Latin America. It's supposed to be more afternoon, and I didn't let the sun to walk. It would never need to do that again. You know why? Because He structured and put everything to work in system. It's like you're feeling bad, right? Yes? This is how this is feeling. If you if you have health issues or something like that, you can see that. So the reason why God would not God would not need to be saying, "Oh, we have to put on the light today" or something, is because He put everything in perspective. He put everything to work as a system, in systems. So God is everything God created in system. He's just not just the light. Let's think about God's creation. What are the other things God created that we could say work in system? That is created. Let's mention it. Nature. What is it? Season. Yes. It means that's why it says there will be no winter and cold and winter will never cease. Summer will never cease, and planting and reaping will never, because it's a system.
The cycle of evaporation.
The cycle of evaporation of water on the earth, it will never cease. That's a system.
Even the human body is
The human body and reproductive organ is a system. Yeah.
The trees and the air, where the trees give off the oxygen.
Yeah, or the oxygen, the carbon.
Carbohydrates.
Yeah, carbon
dioxide.
Yeah, so that's a system right there. Now,
even the ecosystem.
Yeah, ecosystem, right? Ecology and the nature. That is a system. What are the other things?
Even the solar system.
The solar system. Everything. I'm surprised that you put no so little. If the Russians were sitting here, they would be just going like it.
Nervous system.
Nervous system of human body. Okay, let's go to the human body now, huh?
After the entire body system.
Yeah, okay. I was start talking about nature first. But okay, let's do the human body. What are the systems in the human body? Respiratory system, skeletal system, blood circulation, immune system,
Digestive system.
Digestive system,
Central nervous system.
Nervous system.
endocrines,
Urinary system.
urinary system,
Central nervous system.
nervous system, yeah. Huh?
Muscular system.
Muscular system, reproductive,
Digestive.
endocrine system, said it, digestive system,
Elimination.
excretion, excretory system, yeah. So those are all systems, right? What about on our daily life? What about in the society? What are the systems we say?
Transportation.
Transportation system,
Judiciary.
judiciary system,
Financial system.
financial system,
Educational.
educational system, military, banking system, health system. Huh?
Parliamentary system.
Parliament, governmental, parliamentary, military, yeah. So everywhere we see systems all around us. But you know, so people know system. Even where you work, most likely that is a system.
It is.
But you know that. But the problem with that is that we all engage with systems. We all interact with systems. We actually live in systems. But the problem is that that is not a big deal to live in systems or to operate in systems. But only the people who create systems, they rule the world. Don't forget that. You know, everybody can use a system. Everybody interacts with systems. But the people who rule the world are those who create them. So the ability to create systems is what identifies and separates a history maker from the rest of the crowd.
Wow.
And because if you are able to create systems, then you have the ability to resolve every problem and to achieve any goal. Because it is the backbone of of the system of creation. It is the whole bottom line of how things are supposed to be created on the earth and resolved on the earth. So when we who are Christians, we just become so over spiritual and we don't introduce or apply systems in our activities and in our mode of services and things like that, we just lose out. We just lose out. So the key to resolving every problem is to know how to build systems. Now, what is a system? Systems are a system is something that, or you could say a system is a combination of structures that guarantees and produces, or that produces guaranteed results. You could say that. A system is a combination of structures that produces guaranteed results. But system also involves structure and processes. Structure are different parts in that system, right? But the process is the movement or the interconnection or the intersection between the parts and the functioning of it. Huh? Yeah.
Could you repeat that again?
Process,
When you say
structure are the parts, are the separate parts that form a system, that are involved in the system or that are in the system. While process is the movement, intersection, the working together of those parts, the connection, the connecting the connection, the connecting factor in among the parts that makes the system to work together as a whole. That is the process. But then, for you to build a system, the most important thing you need is to remember the things that I spoke to you yesterday, the law the quotation that I gave to you yesterday, that there are no failures in life. Who can complete that for me? You forgot already? There are no failures in life. There are only who? Huh? There are only those who do not know the laws and principles of success, or who are not willing, yes, who are not willing to pay the price for success. So, you under that, from that statement, you could see that for the only reason why people are not successful is because they don't know the laws and principles of success, or they are not willing to apply them. All right? Yes. That is important. And then you remember when we spoke about life is predictable, that on planet Earth, God has made everything to work by fixed laws and principles. So don't forget that. That is the greatest secret of success. That is the greatest secret in life. Everything has laws and principles underneath them. You remember when I spoke about the teacher, the village teacher? Why is it that our place has become irrelevant now? Why? Why is that she's no more that is important? Has been created. Now, why is it that the driver is no more a hero? It doesn't receive national honor anymore for driving the car.
Driving has become a system.
Yes, because a system has been created. Yeah. Why is it that now, even an astronaut, and it's not more a big deal anymore. The system has been created. How was the system created? In all these cases, how was the system created? With the alphabet, with the driving, and with the astronaut. How was the system created?
People came together.
No, not people came together.
People discovered the laws and the principles.
People discovered the laws and put the laws together. Is that? Yes. People discovered the law. Now, let me tell you another thing so that you know how systems are created. Who can tell me how cars were invented? Okay, let me tell you. There was people who were studying why is it that why is it that animals and humans could run fast and animals run faster? Why is it that horses are running faster and things like that? So they began to study the laws of gravity and the laws of motion. What Isaac Newton did, and just by studying the laws of motion, they put together and began to measure the speed of horses and the momentum and what is the propelling force. So everything we have created, building, cars, plane, is all by studying similar things in the nature, by studying God's creation and deriving and calculating and deriving the laws underneath or guiding those things. For example, for cars to be created, do you still remember that some people, maybe they don't use that in America, but in Europe they do. When you're talking about cars, people are talking about horsepower. It's because people's, that is how cars were created, by studying how the speed, the motion, the laws of motion. And the only thing you need to do is to apply physics and mathematics to calculate it. Just by calculating the laws of motion, physics, mathematics, and putting things together, that is how cars were able to be created. The same thing, that is how planes were created as well, airplanes, by studying birds how they were violating gravity, and so they were seeing are they doing it? What are the forces inside them? How are they created? How are they created? Just by studying nature. Everything man has ever created is as a result of what God has created for us.
Yes.
So people just see God's creation, study that God's creation, derive the laws. That is why we go to school to study mathematics and physics and science. Because science is, mathematics and physics, these are precision laws. Because they allow you, why do you need them? They allow you to precisely work out the laws and to precisely identify the rules and the principles by which everything in nature operates. That's why you need mathematics and physics. So, but when we go to school, the teachers themselves don't know. They just say you read mathematics because that's the subject, that's it. They don't tell you that those are the things that help you later on to design and to be able to find out how things operate. And they are the things that help you to find out the laws and the principles behind the functioning of everything in life. How do we have light? Why do we come to have light and energy, electricity? By studying the sun, the energy of the sun. How is it generated? They discover that sun generates, energy by consuming itself. So they say, oh, okay, if you could find this, and then Einstein also discovered that it's because of the speed of something, and light energy is derived from. So all those things, just by studying nature, they put it in formula, and formulas help you to just derive laws. Those are not just subjects. They help you with critical thinking, and they help you with analytical mind. That's what mathematics, physics do. They help you to analyze and break them into pieces. Because for you to be able to discover what law is behind anything, you must break them into pieces, into the smallest particles and pieces for you to be able to decide what is behind them. That's why biology, physics, all those science, they are supposed to, like in the laboratory, just to help you to break them into pieces so that you could know what is behind them, how it operates. That's why we need science. Are you all listening to me now?
Yes.
So the more you could investigate, that's why I was asking you people to read those biographies, not just anyhow. Research, notice details, the ability to notice details and to detach one from the other and to break them down into particles and into different things. That is what, that's what that makes you to stand the chance of invention, of discovery. You discover when you are not meticulous. You discover when you are particular about details. You discover the laws behind this thing. You must be able to break things into the lowest and particles, smallest parts. So, one of the most complex discovery in one of the most complex creation of God on the earth is the human brain. So that the study of human brain has started about almost 100 years ago, hundreds of years ago. But only in the last 50 years we've had breakthrough. So as a result of that breakthrough, from the military science, people began to invent computers. So the things that we have now, internet, computer, everything, is all based on the operation of the human brain. By studying human brain, that's how computers came about. It's still not perfect. Robots, all those things are coming from the operation of human. That's why you see robots, they are like human beings. It's always by studying something what God has already created. It is studying the human system that gives us understanding of how we could duplicate it in a new form. Are you listening to me?
Wow.
So those are systems. So the ability to be able to discern details and to be able to analyze is that's the basis for you to be able to, begin to create your own system. They make you function better in your life. That's why when people are reading the books and you are not noticing things, that is a pain. Because you will not even be able to settle things in your own life. Talk like you're going far to rule the world. And the 3% that rule the world, they rule the world only on the basis of the fact that they created some system somewhere. Bill Gates, is because he created that system of Microsoft. That's the whole World Wide Web system. People create system and everybody else work on them. For them and pay them to function. Apple, all those things. They create their own system and the whole world just services them. The place where I've seen one of the most painful experiences of my life is in America. America is a society full of different forms of systems. Everywhere, just everywhere. And if you are somebody that is not blind, if you are someone that is in the 3% that is smart, that knows what I know, when I come to America, I win. Because I see masses of people who are just working on the system, who are just like laborers, who are just like slaves. They are just working for the system. They are just servicing. They are just servicing systems. They are it's even worse than slaves. I don't know how to. They don't know it because slaves know they are slaves. That's the painful thing. Robots, zombies or people, bondage, hard bondage, painful bondage. Because people don't know it. People think they are enjoying. They get into the car and drive to work and come home. But what is wicked in that society though, is that they have put the whole everybody, people into systems. So you are like if you fall out of that circle, it's like a cycle, it's like a vicious circle. So if you fall off it, you are lost. It's like a spare part. You are just so you are working for the system. And you know that most of them you don't even have time to think that how can I you don't even have time to think, hey, what am I doing with my life? You are just getting old. Then giving birth to children. As soon as you get old, they send you off, your children come and replace you, and then those people just, you're just going and they give you the slightest relief. Some small salary, some small some small compensation, but you still have to, if you are sick, you come back and do it, you give it back, just run. And I say, man, people don't even have time to think mostly. The ones that have time to think, they could say we have a break for a little bit, and they're afraid they come back so they don't fall away from this. So the thing is just driving people. It makes me just want to cry. Even though in Africa, so much poverty, but people can control their own life. Yeah. But that place has become a mechanism, a machine. What is it? I want to say, I want to use the term rat race. Yeah, it's like a rat race. Yes, it's like a rat race. Wow. It's like a rat race.
I call it involuntary slavery.
Yeah, voluntary.
It's not voluntary. If people had the choice, then it would be voluntary. But they tell you have the choice, but you don't really have the choice. Because if you choose not to, you are a victim. You die.
Pastor, I get it. So the church's inability to produce systems has caused them to just wait on God to come down and create something when He's done creating. He's given us the ability to create systems. And we're praising and waiting on God to come down and create a system.
No, He has given that to you. Yeah. It is your obligation. But what is even more painful is when Christians are in this system.
Of the world.
Yeah, of the world. Especially in America, there's no place where it's more vivid. In Europe, it's not like that. A little bit. London is like that. London. I'm talking of Middle Europe, but France, London, England, all those are wars. But what was
that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, England is this. Wars. Some places in America might even be better, but it is just horrible, and people are just moving in it. They're just going, and people don't have time to even say no. Okay, if you want, for example, as a child of God in America, for example, I could say we are supposed all to say, I want to serve God, I want to live for God, so I don't need to go to work. I want to find out my calling and live by my calling. I want to, but you can't. Because before you get there, they pull you out of the house, or some people can, but you have to really go through a lot of sacrifice.
Pastor, in New York City, for example, in New York City, you live in New York City, you are put in that circle that if you go to New York City right now, you see a lot of people that will discover their calling if you can put them out, to bring them to a place like this. but they will never be able to spare 1 day of work.
But that's what I'm saying.
Not 1 day. And their whole life is managed by this system. From
Driven, not really managed, but driven.
Yes.
McDonald's does it better than us.
Also, some of the multi-marketing business
Yeah.
in America, they are structured and they are systematic.
Those are good. That's the positive thing. You know, those multi-marketing people, they created their own system.
Yes.
Came out of the mainstream, and which is good. But that's what we are supposed to be doing.
Yes, yes.
We are supposed to come out of the mainstream and say, no, we determine our own life. We'll build our own life according to God's will.
Yes.
My life will be according to God's will for my life, not for me to survive. But unfortunately, people are driven by the desire just to survive. Not the desire, but the need to just survive. And when you are driven by the need to survive, you cannot live for God. It's the opposite.
And also, the system
Wow.
is really working out for them. That is why they are always bringing people.
You are right.
to
And that's why
motivate
we,
others.
that's why we must learn to build our own system that will work for us.
Jesus. Wow.
You know, it's funny we say this because, like, on my job, what I would consider a perk is like working from home. But then, it's amazing because that's the system. Because now, a lot of jobs are going remote, which means you can work from home. And what I find out is that I actually tend to work more when I'm at home than when I'm at work. And so I considered it a perk, but then I'm looking like I'm losing my mind.
Wow.
You know, I mean, my family, as a matter of fact, my husband said, I don't get it. I mean, now you're working from home. I mean, your life is more managed than, you know, than before. Even though it's not physical, I don't have, everything is virtual for me, but it's still the system. It's all in the mind, it's in the head, it's everywhere. You know, I have every convenience you can think of, but yet it's not the height of, you know, comfortability. You see what I
because
mean?
you're still working on another person's system for
Exactly.
somebody else.
Yeah, the reason that you're right about that is because we're not putting in the system of the kingdom of God. It's because if you take time to analyze the system, and a really good place is like in the train station at rush hour, a big train station, you just see thousands of people just flying up and down. And the reason that you can tell that is because we haven't put in the kingdom of God system. It's not one big system that exists. It's in all the spheres that you mentioned that we're supposed to be. If you look at those spheres individually, the financial, the media, the sport, you'll see that they've got special systems in each of those. Yeah.
But, and that is why this country cannot understand. We are totally breaking the whole thing.
Amen.
We enter into their own system, break into it, create our own system, and begin to dictate our own thing. That's why here, they cannot just understand what's going on. How can one guy come and is now putting everybody into trouble and, you know, turning the whole country upside down? We must learn to create individually for our own system. I must be able to create my system of daily management, what I want to do in my life, in the next 10 years, in the next 1 year. I manage it. It's not work. It's not desire to go to work to make salary. No. If I want to work, I work. I must be able to say that. I want to work this hour. I don't want to work this time. I want to go this place. I must be able to manage my life. If you are not having the freedom and the liberty, the authority over your own time, even, what kind of system can you create? You are a slave. You cannot set yourself free. God bless us, set it on that free.
That's right.
I was thinking of the 3 days retreat. If you work Monday to Friday, you really don't have 3 days.
You see?
It's Saturday and Sunday.
So even to go and seek God for 3 days, for some people will be a problem, isn't it? Because of work. So it's not God who dictates my life. It is not the will of God that dictates my wishes and my actions and my life. I have to tell God,
I'm sorry, God.
I cannot even know how to say that. I can't.
I'm sorry, God.
I'm sorry, God. I need to eat.
Sometimes also,
you don't always necessarily have to create a system from scratch.
Oh,
You
it's
can
all,
do,
yeah.
you can derive from a
Brilliant.
system that's already been made.
Already been made, yeah. And most of the things that are created now, they are all based on the already existing something.
yes.
But you just need to add a little nuances. Just a little nuance. Just a little thing. And you have your own system. Yes.
Discipline. It's the art of discipline. There's a lot of athletes out there, but there's a certain percent of athletes that have the discipline in order to get to the highest level.
Like we said yesterday, just today also, success is all about two things. There are no failures in life. People must know the laws that are responsible and the discipline to implement, to abide by those laws.
Pastor, I'm sitting here thinking about the system in America and how we have been held in bondage, having lived there too. And
No, I can't imagine how many years have been lost. Like your husband was saying, I've lost so many. What I've lost? He said, I'm 50 something now. I've got to run like, he said, you people are young people. But I've got to run. I've lost my life in that America. So many years. I've got to run now. But it's good that when you people realize it, some people still don't realize it. They are still working.
But Pastor, what we don't realize is that we do not have to conform to that system. You know why? They have put it before us, and we have left the kingdoms and bought the system of the world.
Yeah.
We buy homes we cannot pay for.
Yes.
We buy cars we cannot pay for.
Yes.
We send our children to schools we cannot pay for. So what we do is put our lives into slavery to pay for things that we don't need, but that we desire, to maintain status quo, and we relegate God to the bottom.
So we are following the model of the world.
Yes, sir.
We are not looking at the kingdom. What does the kingdom want from me? What is the plan of the kingdom for me? What is the desire, the heart of God for me? And then to mold my life in accordance to that thing, no matter what the system or the whole world is going.
Exactly. And you don't need money.
No, you just need to understand God's mind for you, build your life according to that, and be willing to confront and go against the system of everybody else.
Yes.
But you must be able to construct your own system as well.
It's very interesting to know that while United States is a predominantly Christian nation, the Muslims had a plan to take over America before 9/11, and they have built a parallel system in the country. In many Muslim communities, they don't take loan to buy houses. They don't take loan to buy cars. A Muslim from Pakistan comes in, he lives with a fellow Muslim until all of them as a community have saved enough money, they give it to him, he goes and pays cash down. He buys his car, he buys his home. They don't pay mortgage. That is how they have been replicating it, whether in Seattle, whether in Lawrenceville, whether in Texas. So they've been doing that. So they are independent of the financial system. So right there in the US, while we are complaining about the car loans, Muslims are financing themselves free of the burdens of mortgage and car loans.
Wow.
They don't pay interest. They don't. That's the way they operate. They keep doing that. So they have already worked out the system.
If I want to say this, I think if we are here as a body of Christ, I think it's time to look at this and see what we have to do. We have to do to this. It's exactly the same thing in UK.
Yeah.
The Muslims have taken over. They are far ahead in UK than in America. In every sector of the economy, and they are strategically going to. So if we as Christians are going to do that with what we are starting now, I think we need speed, because now UK is totally enrolled. They can't disengage from that power. And like what we have learned there, and like what we are saying, I think it's going to be good for us, like my brother said, to have this mentality. Sorry, I'm a biologist. Talk about a virus. Virus does not have anything of its own. It's used bacteria to survive. So the system, like you say, is there. So you can go in there and with mentality and the grace of God, use everything. Because Parents don't have any control. You just use everything about the bacteria, use it, finish it, destroy it, just go to another one and be careful. So we can, it's possible. But we think, I think it's good for us to think of this structure right now, because if they take over UK and US, maybe we are looking at a lot of things going to go more than that.
Yeah, I was going to say, changing the system actually starts with us. And it actually starts with knowledge, which has been revealed here and now. Because I remember, when you came, this type of knowledge actually was revealed to us. It took a lot of effort, it took a lot of sacrifice, it took a lot of fighting. But me and my husband decided that we were not going to stay in systems. So against all, we were not going to stay in the systems of the world. Against all odds, without any money pre-planned or anything, he just began to build his own system, full-time, working from home. Even though it was very hard, and the same thing I did, partially, I did. Even though I work, but I dictate my own terms. I have when I work and I have when I don't work. And, thanks to you, the investment, even though you didn't want to do it, but because our eyes were open, we decided we were not going to stay in system. It's very hard, it's sacrifice, because it's no point in actually coming to learn, talking about it, and then we are the agents of change. We need to go back there, no matter how little. And because we've tried it for a bit, maybe about 2 years or more, we know it was a struggle and it's still a struggle, but we're encouraging others to do so. Because otherwise we will not get out of the system. And the same thing will be happening.
Someone has to pay the price to break the chains.
Yes.
All right, so to build a system, what do you need? The most important thing you need to build a system is, don't forget this, is that there are underlying laws in any system, principles. Just like in mathematics, they call them formulas or algorithms. So I want to give you the basic algorithms to building systems. And this will just be basic, all right? And the algorithm, the example that I'm going to use, we are going to build systems together with you now. We are going to build a system, but this system is going to apply to relationship with people, just for you to see as an example. But you will see how systems work and how the thing. For example, let's put a task before ourselves. The task of touching 10,000 people in a year. Is that a huge one? How can you get 10,000 people saved in a year, or touch them individually? How can you touch 10,000 people, getting them saved in a year? Is that a small assignment or a big one?
It's a big one.
It's a big one. Yes. But you will be surprised by the time we work out the system now to see how small, how easy it's going to look to be able to achieve that goal through the help of systems or through the help of a system and the principles of building systems. So system building involves algorithms or formulas. So the basic formula, the number one point, the basic rule or the basic principle in that algorithm is that, number one, every system you want to build must start with a goal or target. So what is the goal that I've just identified now? 10,000 people saved in a year. 10,000 people saved in a year. 10,000. Now the second algorithm, the second main principle of building system is time. There must be a time factor or time limit. Time limit. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, what about if we say we want to get 10,000 people but no time limit? Forever, anytime, just by faith, just as God gives it, as God, how do Christians say it? How do Christians say, by God's grace or what?
By God's grace. At God's time. At God's timing.
At God's timing. Yeah. At God's time. Just let it, by the grace of God, just as God time will do it, as God will. So, yeah, God.
the Lord.
Yes, as God wishes. So when will that goal be reached if it is as God wishes? Of course, very good. It's no longer a system if there is no constraint. Systems must have constraints and limitations. Now, but 1 year for 10,000 people, is it not too small? It is too small, isn't it? Yeah. So it's a stringent limitation or stringent condition, isn't it? But who can you tell me that the limit, the more stringent it is, what does that release? What does that release? When it's a short limit like that, it's not 10 years. What does that release?
Drive.
Pressure.
Planning.
Plan into demand planning from you. Commitment.
Focus.
Determination.
So your limitations, by the time you are giving limit, because some of you, that's why what I want you to get from this. When I told you must read a book in a day, you didn't think you are so smart now, but when I gave you that limitation, you are thinking, but I couldn't do it. How can I finish a whole book of 1,200 pages in a day? But can you see now the advantage in limitation? What about if I just give you the book and say you must read it, but I don't tell you when to finish? Of course, you give back to procrastination, stubbornness, and all that. So the fact that I put a limit on you people, that you must do this work, and of course I know why you are whining, but it's not good for the flesh. But is it really good when it comes to achieving goals?
Sure.
Or not?
Yes.
Demands, boundaries.
Good.
Boundaries, are they good? Eventually, to achieving goals. So, which means, even though we might not like boundaries, we must still put them around us. Even though we might not like restraints, but restraints help us to produce. And restraints, they drive out the best, they put out the best from us, in us. Pressure causes the juice to come out of the orange. You getting it? So we need that limitation. We need that constraint. The next one. So these are the algorithms. The formulas we need, the principles of building systems. So after time, you must determine what are my resources to resolve this assignment. You must always ask yourself that question. You remember when I told you to read the book, I said you must find out how much time do I have, what is the task from how many pages of book do I need to read. Then what did I say we should do after that? Divide, of course. Those are systems, even in little things. But if you don't start in little things like that, you'll never be able to build the big systems. Okay, let us, if our assignment is to touch 10,000 people and maybe disciple 1,000, but let's just touch 10,000 right now. The thing is, what do I have? You have to make a list of what you have. Some of you already have people under you, you already have some work or some leaders or some members under you. But supposing you don't have anything, there are some of you here who don't have anything. Supposing you just came to a town by yourself, alone. You just arrived to a city, you don't have anything. So let us take the worst scenario. And the worst scenario that could be is that you don't have anything. You're just by yourself alone. And you need to touch 10,000 in a year.
Wow.
So how do we go about this problem? How do we go about resolving it? No matter how poor you are and how weak you are in preparation, I still want to let you know that you have something. And the basic thing you have, if you have nothing, is that you have yourself at least. You have you. Okay? If you have you, then just write it. Your resource, your most important resource is you. Please write that. Your biggest resource is who?
It's me.
Why am I a resource? Who can tell me that? Why are you, as a person, a resource on your own?
Because I can make it.
Yes.
Because I have the power, the ability to create resources.
Okay. Who else want to say anything? Why are you a resource?
Because I'm a carrier of highest richness, this
Of
Spirit
course,
of God.
because you are a person, as an individual, you are the highest of creation. You are the crown of creation. There is nothing more. There is no intelligence that is higher than human. But you see, even though you are a human being and you are a resource on your own, but why is it that, please come, why is it that, despite the fact that land is taller than me, right, and we might be age mates, and yet, he might be tall, he might be 50 years old, 10, 30, 40 years old, but yet, even though he's a human being and I am a human being, I, that is smaller than him in height, maybe younger than him in age, I might be producing more results than him. You know why that is? Even though I might start from the same basis. I'm a human being, he's a human being. The difference is, he didn't put value into himself. He didn't develop himself. And probably I developed myself in some areas. So you can only give what you have. You cannot give, you cannot produce what you have not already put inside of you first. So the reason why most people are, you are a human being, but the fact that you are a human being doesn't mean anything. The fact that you are a person or you are grown up doesn't produce anything. That doesn't mean. The only thing that makes you to be valuable is because of the amount of value that you have created inside yourself. Why is it that, for example, you know how to work on computer, you can type fast, you can do system, you can create graphics, you can make journals. When you go to a place for employment, so let's say any IBM or any company for employment, they give you, and I don't know how to use computer, I don't know how to type, I don't know how to do anything. Who would they give the job to?
Him.
Him. Why? He has put value in himself. The value of what you will be able to achieve in life all depends on how much you have developed yourself. So the fact that I am a resource, I am here, that doesn't mean that you are going to be able to produce anything. What makes you relevant, what makes you valuable is the amount of development, it's the amount of self-development, the amount of, the quality of values you have put and you have labored to cultivate inside yourself. That is what God was trying to tell Adam. He said, till the ground. How much have you tilled this ground? The very first ground to till is the ground of your mind. The very first ground to till is the ground of yourself, your intellect, your emotion. How much have you developed your spirit, man? So, who is going to reach that 10,000? Somebody might reach it in 1 year, and another person will come and reach it in 6 months. Another person will reach in 10 years. Why? It depends on how much ground and how much has he taken efforts to till himself, to develop himself, to put value in himself. Then that now affects and actually determine his effectiveness. So even though I'm human, you are human, that doesn't mean anything. That's why the greatest favor you could do yourself is to develop yourself. The greatest favor you could do yourself is to cultivate and to develop and read and work on yourself and improve yourself. That's why some of the greatest decisions you could ever take was to come here.
Yes. Yes.
If you be able to develop yourself, you can stand alone anywhere. They could throw you into the jungle. They could throw you into the desert. They could throw you into any part of the world. If you are heavy inside, if you are big inside, you will produce the same result you have produced anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? That's what Jesus was trying to say. He was trying to say, hey, the thing that defies a man is not what he eats or what he drinks or what he puts in, but out of the heart of the man comes this corruption or uncleanliness and this other. What it's trying to say is that the outside condition don't determine who you are. The price and the value of your person is what content you have been able to make to better person of you. So it's trying to say that, you know, conditions, don't ever complain about those conditions. If you are big enough inside, you can change and bend the condition. If you are big enough inside, you can survive and you can release a power that will cause everything around you to subdue and to submit under you. So your effectiveness in building systems, in everything, it depends on how much time you have created. That's why in our church here, for me and my co-workers and my people, along with God, is a paramount requirement. They must leave family, they must leave job on their own cost. Every month they must they must sacrifice one day to say, you know, don't pay me for this day, but that, you know, I don't need it. I must go work on myself. They must go with books, not just to pray. They must go with researching. They must go with something to begin to work and develop. That is the 3 days whereby they develop the same spirit by praying, fasting. Then they develop them mentally. Those 3 days, they come out equipped, charged